dated straight away because it was pandering to the people who like Bridgerton.
Yep.
And the fact that we had a character that was almost a copy of Captain Jack in it.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it probably could have had the actor who
I
played
know.
Captain Jack in that story, and it would have still been the same story.
Yep.
So we had all this, and then finally we get the build-up with Sutek in the
Mm-hmm.
two-parter at the end.
She's supposed to be the most powerful being that's ever existed.
And all the Doctor does is, the first part is quite well done,
Yep.
but the second part was a big letdown, and most of the time was spent with Sutek being attached to a dog lead,
I know. And dragged through
space and time,
space and time.
Connected to the TARDIS, and it just felt so like a downbeat, and a pretty standard type of thing that Russell often did in the past.
Yep.
Was a massive big giant reset button, and everyone would become back to life,
I know.
and making the whole thing of death meaningless.
Yep.
So for a first series with a new Doctor, bringing an existing showrunner back, who at the time when he did Doctor Who before did leave it on a high, this was really a down. It didn't hit any of the beats that it should have done.
Nah.
So both of us could probably see why there's all these rumours about things like Disney not happy and that, but I don't personally believe that Disney and all that money thing is actually the core problem. I feel it's the writing's the problem,
Yep.
and I don't think there's that angst between Disney and the money and all that, because it's not the money that they would spend wouldn't be as high as it if it was a Disney production, and this isn't a Disney production, they're just screening it.
I know.
So the people out there saying that Disney are upset, I think are wrong. I don't think Disney are upset. I think the viewers in Britain are upset with the way the show's being made.
Yep.
And that showed in the reflection of the ratings in the UK.
And also the fact that they've already made the next season.
So it shows that we've still got more of this to come.
Yet more of the same, and probably very much likely.
And I know people on the internet who are saying that might not be a third series. I don't know if that's true or not. We'll have to wait and see. And as I said, none of these stories that are out there about things like how much it costs and whether Disney are pulling the pin can be actually verified, because everyone's saying that their best mate or their mate who works in this company told them this. Unless it's official statement from the BBC or Disney, I wouldn't listen to any of them, because I doubt any of them are true.
Yep.
My memory serves me pretty well that during the Jodie Whittaker era, there was quite a number of fairly large YouTubers who constantly said that they were going to get rid of her after the first season, and that Chibnall would not be there next year. But he did serve his 5 years contract, even though he only did 3 years of Doctor Who. He was actually in charge of Doctor Who for 5 years, and Jodie was there for 5 years. So all those statements that YouTubers were making never came true. So it kind of shows that there is a lot of misinformation out there, and often they do it for clickbait. They don't really check to see if any of that's true. So my guess with Doctor Who is poorly written, not received well by the general audience, but going into a larger picture with Disney and all the rest of it, I don't know if any of that's true until we actually get official statement.
I'd agree with that.
And I don't know if any of the Disney high ups or the BBC are concerned on where the show is going at this stage. It's a deal that they've obviously done for a long term, isn't it? So that they're not going to think, oh, just because it's doing poorly yet, it's a new show to them.
I know. So they might. So it's probably very more likely that there will be a third season, probably.
I think there will be. For both of us, I think we would like to see a drastic change, perhaps by the third season. Obviously, we're not going to see a massive change when the second season comes out, being that they film the two together. Then hopefully there is some adjustment to where they're going with the show, and hopefully there's a stronger round of scripts and less or no stories where the new Doctor's not in them anymore. It seems not possible that you can have a main actor leave the show for a break nowadays when they're doing so short seasons.
Also, it'd be good to see, more other writers being allowed to write stories for it.
Yes, yes.
It
So
seems like
Russell's
it's mostly Russell that's doing them all.
or a couple of his close friends like Stephen Moffat and that, and they're not bringing in some new writers to expand the storylines.
And the same even with the people that are working behind the scenes. It's basically the same people that originally worked behind the scenes, and probably they worked on every other thing that he's done. So it's mostly all his close friends still, producing it.
So in a way, it could be suffering a little bit behind the scenes, and with Russell being in charge as a load of people that are yes people and not so many people challenging which direction they're going with. So that's why we're getting things like Space Babies and other stories that are really subpar and shouldn't have been in this season.
And a lot of them probably just thought, that'll be a fun story to do, instead of thinking, is that story going to get the audience in?
Yeah, I will end this podcast with William on one thing that I will say, is that I feel that a lot of people out there feel that if the show is not suited to where it's going, they don't like it, which is fine, their answer is often just to axe the show. And I don't believe in that, because axing something doesn't necessarily mean it's going to fix the problem. In fact, it's probably better that it continues to be made, and it encourages new people to come and change the show. People often forget that there are people who are employed who have jobs that will lose jobs and their livelihood. So it's not just the show itself that they might not like, but they forget that there's a lot of people also living off this production.
Yep.
And then the other side of that too is, if they do end the production of Doctor Who, it's very likely it won't come back for many years. It won't be like the original gap of whatever number of years that was. I can't remember exactly. I think it was almost 16. We could be talking 30 years. It might not even actually ever come back as a television production again at all. So when people say axe the show because they don't like it, that doesn't fix the problem. It just means that the show has ended in a really bad way. So my point of view, and I don't know what Williams is, which hopefully he'll tell you in a sec, but mine is that they should keep making it, but encourage it to change, or hopefully as it goes along, people will come in and start changing it.
I have a feeling that the BBC may have been planning to axe the show after when Stephen Moffat's era came to an end, and they were possibly thinking about axing it, and then they thought they'd try a different angle instead and have a female Doctor.
That is true,
and that they decided to not axe it and try that, see if that would succeed. And then, of course, when after so many years with Jodie Whittaker, I think once again they were planning to axe it unless they got help from elsewhere. And that's why they brought back Russell
and Disney's involvement in it. Yeah. Well, that could be very true on the show itself. But if it says one thing about that, is that they didn't axe it, and they do keep trying different directions. And a lot of people probably forget that going back to the very original series, they had lots of trouble. It had seasons where they were going to stop after William Hartnell left. They were going to stop after Patrick Troughton left. Then they went into colour and made the series with John Pertwee. And then we had the Tom Baker era. And so there's always been a really up and down era with Doctor Who. And of course, during Tom Baker's era, the first part of his era was excellent, and then the second part was pretty average to trash television. It wasn't actually very good at all. So we've sort of had this ups and downs with Doctor Who over its time anyway. But the one thing that we can take from the original series, when it first started, to the modern series, is that they did change, and change helped to bring interest back into the show. So there were down points even in the original show, going through to Sylvester McCoy, but then late Sylvester McCoy, the series started to show really interesting stuff again. So my same argument is that axing it isn't the answer. You just have to bring in better people or change it again, and eventually it will re-find its footing.
Yep.
It's like anything. There's always downs and ups, and Doctor Who suffers a lot of that, I feel.
I'd say that as well. And I think, like the way it is at the moment, it's just, like Russell's doing it in a different way once again to see what the and what the how well it goes, or how
It's
whatever.
like an experiment again.
Yep.
He's testing the water with this first season, and hopefully future seasons of these are better. Anyway, this has been our first go at a podcast on a subject that both me and William have quite a lot of connection to, Doctor Who.
Yep. Hopefully intend to do a lot more
Yeah, we definitely...
on various other subjects.
I think that's dead right. We will be coming back to produce another episode on a different subject altogether. We haven't decided yet what our second episode will be, but please tune in again, because it will obviously be something that will appeal to someone out there.
Yep. And from William, it's bye for now.
And for me, it's good night.
Good night.